what travel nurse companies have you had the best and the worst experiences with?
I was on Nurse Mississippi. I was making like $20 an hour. Okay? So it's like, so worth it for me. Even back then when they were paying like $75 an hour, it was worth it for me to call off on a flight and go out there because I was 3x in my income. But now to be PRN in California and my base is 115.
Yeah.
No.
With this current market being how it is, where do you find lucrative jobs? Welcome to the West T Podcast. My name is Morgan San Diego, and today we are talking about travel nursing and finding out if travel nursing is really dead. So let's get into it.
I didn't really know. Not for me.
No. Saturated, yeah. Dead, no. It's always going to be a need. Travel nurses are always going to be in need and in demand. Saturated, yeah, a lot.
So what fields do you work in as far as like nursing, and how long have you been a travel nurse?
I've been travel nursing 2 years. I'm trying to transition out of it, and I'm pediatrics.
Okay.
So I'm in NICU. I've been a NICU travel nurse for about 8 to 10 years. I've been on them. I know it comes. So, travel nurse, we
Happy.
Are you neuro or neonatal?
Neonatal.
I love that. Okay. So, first of all, what is travel nursing? How long has travel nursing been around and been a thing?
Travel nursing is where nurses fulfill needs to hospitals and healthcare facilities that are in lack of healthcare professionals, nurses more so. And it's been around since the 1800s when we were going to war. Florence Nightingale.
And I'm born.
It's been around for a long time. 1970s, it came around really big. I think it started in Boston because I did a little research on it. And then you have the big guys like AMN, Cross Country, Fast Staff that's been around for a long, long time.
Sure. Yeah. Basically, travel nursing just temporary, work at a hospital, 26 a week, do your job, and you leave. And if it's still in benefits, it should be paid.
Definitely.
Honestly, travel nursing probably been around since like the 70s. Your mama, dad got crazy in Mardi Gras. The hospitals in New Orleans couldn't handle all of them getting injured, so they had to bring travelers nurses from all over the country to help them out. From there, the hospital saw the benefit and they just skyrocketed.
Okay. So let's talk about the pay and different work alternatives for people who, let's say, can't do travel nursing. So what do you feel like is the average pay that we're seeing now? Obviously, we're not seeing $10,000 a week.
No.
Unless we have another Sea Dog, panini.
No.
But we're not seeing that kind of pay. So what do you feel like is average that we're seeing? And then where can people go and work and still make great money if they can travel and they have kids and stuff?
In my opinion, I feel like we're seeing more and less in different specialties. You have anything CV. Anything CV is going to pay you good money. CV OR, CV ICU, pediatric CV is going to pay you very good money. Flight nursing is going to pay you good money. L&D is going to pay you good money. I still see those rates about $3,000 to $5,000 depending on where you go and depending on the demands of the area. Of course, you got ICU, ED. That still is low. I'm not even gonna lie, especially med-surg. It's at the bottom, $2,000 for 48, $2,000 on 36, and that's gonna be hard to duplicate your expenses on that. The rates are very low. Like I said, the market is pretty much saturated across med-surg, ICU, ED, L&D, med-surg, ED, ICU, and ED. But even in psych, they're paying good. In your area, they're paying really good for those, especially with pediatric psych. There's a very, very, very big need for that, especially an increase in children with behavior issues.
But I will say the pay in Atlanta for CVICU is ghetto.
It's ghetto.
And I mean, the actual like units, I mean, it's bad. Like I know people who have been out here and they try to triple them. I mean, just putting them in really unsafe situations. And I mean, I'm
50?
in CVICU.
Wow.
Yeah, scary.
I know those files. I don't work in the South anymore.
Listen.
Like California, girl.
She in the dreamland, y'all.
You know that hardship is.
Okay, so let's talk about California, because I always love talking about soft nursing, and I think California is one of the best places for travel nurses or nurses in general to work. And tell us why.
So California has what we most should, and that is union. And the unions go hard in Cali.
Real hard.
Very hard. The unions have made sure that the nurses in California have mandated breaks, that we have mandated patient ratios, so they protect us so we can protect our patients, and that's why I'm really thing. Okay. So even state mandated actually in California that you don't take a certain amount of patients in the state of California.
And a lot of states don't have those ratios. So, okay, so I love you that you brought up the unions, because the other part of the unions is strike nursing. Okay, before you guys try to cancel me from off of every platform, I just want to say this. I do not encourage people to work strikes, but I realize that everyone has a different financial situation, and please don't write to me because I'm not paying nobody's bills except for my own.
And I strike next week. Oh my God. Okay. That's our strike.
So what is strike nursing? So let's talk about the agencies, and let's talk about the pros and the cons, because I think everyone talks about, oh, I'm going to be a strike nurse and get it over the money, but they don't realize like it's so hard to actually get strikes.
Unpredictable.
It's unpredictable. And then, now with it being so popular, the things that we used to have like guaranteed hours when you set foot on the plane no longer happen. So let's talk about it.
Strike nursing is kind of similar to shop nursing, but not really. When it comes to strike nursing, you're going to go help the hospital out while the nurses are picketing. And that's kind of where the money comes in, because it's super responsive. Like, we get contacted with a 10-day strike notice, and within like 3 days, we're on a flight heading to whatever hospitals to help them out during that time. The pros, the money. And obviously the points are the pros.
It's a free vacation too.
Yeah, it is. Con, you walk into the situation, you don't really know, you don't know the unit. There's no actual like charge nurse there. Like, you are the staff leads on there. Man, is sometimes to be here and help out, but let's be real, they don't know what's going on the floor at all. So it's kind of like you don't really know their policy, but you're expected to because you're in their facility.
And you have to have someone there from the hospital to actually be there as a part of like your liaison. And it's very unsafe, I would say, because the last strike I did, we actually had to have police escorts. It was in Minnesota. We had to have police escorts. Literally, even if we wanted to walk off the floor, we had to have escorts.
It's a very like high tension.
Yes, and you don't know anything from the time you get off the plane. You don't know, like, you have your van there to take you to a hotel that you won't know of until you get there, and then you won't know your next stop until you get there. Your orientation is at a disclosed location that you won't know of until you get there, and everything is secret to protect you.
Discretion is key when it comes to working strikes. The nurses who are picketing, they are fighting for what they feel they deserve, and they see you as the enemy. And so they don't do that for you. So you don't need to be letting them social media know like where you are staying, where you are arriving, where you are onboarding. All those things needs to be mute.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Please, when you go, if you ever do a strike, because I've seen it, and we go to orientation, do not wear your scrubs. Do not put on scrubs.
Can you tell me that?
Please, can you hear, please? Because when we went to Minnesota, it did happen, and they were literally like chasing the bus.
Okay. So I think that a lot of people probably won't understand this. So I'm going to give this analogy, right?
Yeah.
Let's pretend that you have a boyfriend, right? And you know that your boyfriend is cheating on you. And you know that the young lady that he's cheating on you with knows about you. So that's the kind of tension that you're going into. Yeah. So imagine if you found out where this person lives. Because that's what you're doing when you're wearing these scrubs in this environment. They're going to know where where you all are resting your head at night. And I know that we all are nurses, so I know it's very hard for a lot of people to imagine people not being professional, not being courteous. I've been on strikes before because I used to do strikes. I've been on strikes before where the nurses who were the union would come in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., set the fire alarms off. You know, anything to disrupt the environment. And I understand why they're upset, but also I look at it this way as a person who doesn't do strikes now. What I want the nurse who's caring for my mom, for my grandmother, to be operating off of 2 hours of sleep, 1 hour of sleep. And I think that a lot of times when it comes to strikes, it's hard for people to realize that this isn't about money. It's about still the patients. So I understand the patients have to be taken care of. We want, everyone wants great pay. I get it. But also there's another side to that. There's a person who's laying in this hospital bed that needs to be taken care of too.
And they can actually, if you do something wrong or, your liaison reports you, they can bar you from strikes.
Yes.
And report your license if you do something negligent.
So is strike nursing for new nurses?
No.
How much experience would you recommend that someone has coming into a strike, and explain what the orientation process is like as a strike nurse?
For me, I would say at least, I feel strike nursing is heavier and more critical than travel nursing. Because at least with travel nursing, you get 1 day, 1 to 3 days maybe of orientation, and that's just your logistics. And strike nursing, they literally take you to your location, you sign paperwork, you sign off that you literally know this equipment, you know what you're doing, you sign off on skills that nobody's testing you on, and you literally walk into the hospital under heavy stress. You have to, the last strike I did, we were literally calling pharmacy for drugs. They're not sending drugs up for hours and hours and hours at a time. You got literally a heavier patient load. The last strike I did, we had 12 patients, and these were literally like double bed patients, like semi-private rooms. And if you don't know what you're doing, like, they are watching. The managers that are on these units I won't say they aren't there to help you, but they're not there to help you. You just really have to know what you're doing. You have to have experience. You have to be experienced. You have to chart when you're supposed to. If it's late, hey, call pharmacy, spoke to Melanie, RPH, meds still not sent. You have to chart. You have to, stay on top of every single thing under high stress.
So it's more heavy as far as the experience. Do you think that people can actually replace their nursing income if they just work strikes?
No.
Okay.
No.
So strikes and maybe PRN, but the downside is having to call out because strikes are never planned. You never know when they're going to happen. So you have to call out of work, and you could kind of run up your call outs, doing call outs. And because you never know when you get to the strike if it's still going to happen.
You get 10-day notice for a strike. So the hospital or the union will let the hospital know 10 days before the strike is going to occur, when it's going to happen. And the strike can possibly not happen. So you're going to call her work, and then they cancel the strike. Oh, you can call work back and like, oh, my bad.
My grandmother didn't die.
I can come now.
Right. So is strike something that you still think that is profitable, like, as a nurse? Or do you feel like it's not even worth the stress? I think it's really a mental game.
Yes and no. I feel like some people don't realize a lot of times, like, the pro-strike nurses, they are going to exempt on these strikes because you get heavily taxed. Where you all work here strike. So you're going there and you're going to exempt, and you're already a high earner. Like, when you come tax time, I'll be have a plan because you be paying all that money back, so it wasn't really worth it for you. But yeah, that's how they make you gross. You make a lot. You have to look at the net amount that's going to actually hit your account.
Same with travel nursing.
Yeah.
Same thing. What was the question?
Is it worth it?
Is it still worth it?
Yeah.
I think if you keep up with the trends, if you stay on top of it, if you really know someone on the inside, because you have to get your feet wet on your first strike with an agency, and then they'll keep calling. You'll keep getting those strikes. You'll keep, working. So I just feel like it's so unpredictable. So unpredictable.
For me, when I first started, I was on Nurse Mississippi. I was making like 20 an hour. Okay? So it's worth it for me. Even back then when they were paying like 75 an hour, it was worth it for me to call off on a flight and go out there because I was 3x in my income. But now to be PRN in California and my base is $115. No, this is not worth it for me.
Oh, I love that you brought up California. So let's talk about California because so many nurses, that's a cheat code for travel nursing. And I noticed that trend is starting to change because it used to be very, very easy for nurses to go to California and work. And now, you know, they have all these policies about you have to work a certain amount of times per week. You know, before people used to be able to go and just work a block and go home. Why do you think that that's changing in Cali? And do you still feel like California is a good place for people to make a great income as a traveler or agency nurse?
I just feel like the hospitals don't see the benefit in you coming to work their block. Like, they hired you for you to benefit them, and that is all. So if you're coming and working a stretch of days, 7 days in a row, and gone for the rest of the month, who's going to cover these shifts while you are gone?
Okay.
So the hospitals is peak game, and now they're just trying to switch it up to where it works for them and not just you. Unfortunately, just kind of like I'm saying, we all ain't even coming from out of state anymore. The ones that come from out of state, now they just have to pivot and figure something else out because they're not changing their policy now. Like, 1 day a week, what you don't need now?
Yeah.
I've even invested in my Cali license. I've used it once, and next week will be twice, hopefully. But I've even filled out for jobs in California, hospitals in California, and it's like, oh, you're out of state. No, we can't hire you. And then literally like the applications will say 8-hour shifts. They're not 12-hour shifts. Because I want, like, the goal is to go work per diem, like a weekend, a month, or 4-day stretches, like you said. But I think they've caught on and they're not doing that anymore. Because I want to work my 8 hours, then 12, and then 3, 4, 16s. But
Seattle is still a coin, girl. Seattle is a coin. The girls don't know about Seattle and Wisconsin.
Seattle's kind of like, keep it down now, keep it down. You just got to find out that works for you. The hospital I worked in, they were aware that I was out of state when I first started, and they honestly did not hear. So it is a conversation. This basically is. It's a conversation with the right person.
Yeah. So why are we seeing a decrease in rates? So for those people who just started, you know, traveling during the pandemic, we saw the 10K a week contracts. What a time to be alive. What a time. Why are we seeing a decreasing rates besides like the fact that our contracts in our hospitals are not being federally funded?
That fault.
Okay, so that's the biggest part. Do you think the other part of that is oversaturation?
I really think so. Like, you have, when COVID happened and even before, you didn't have as many nurses to meet the demands of the hospital. And then when COVID happened, even we all seen an increase in nursing schools. Because we had how many fake nurses to get their degree?
Girl, that was important. That was important. No, leave that. We have definitely seen quite a few of these fake nursing schools being taken down by the FBI with Operation Nightingale. Y'all look that up.
And now you have a lot of nurses that have flooded into travel nursing. So I think now it's more supply than it is demand. So.
I don't know if the oversaturation now currently, like when it was post-pandemic, like fresh, it was weird, oversaturated. I feel like now a lot of the more seasoned travelers have left, like taking insurance contracts, going for a deal, or going back staff, or switch specialties, found a job outside of nursing. So I don't feel like it's oversaturated anymore. Just like it's going back to when the market's trying to stabilize after all that federal money has run out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like people need to figure out if travel is going to work for them, because I don't foresee skyrocketing even close to what it used to be at all. I mean, here's where it's probably going to stay.
Yeah, so no more 10K a week contracts. Sorry, y'all. If you feel comfortable, what travel nurse companies have you had the best and the worst experiences with?
You want to go first?
At least
Clark it.
my best experience was with Medical Solutions, but
Really?
it was because of my recruiter.
The recruiters make the contracts. Yeah. The recruiters will really like make or break your experience.
It absolutely will. Like I wasn't a fan of the company, but my recruiter like made sure to match my pay with anything that was out there. If I asked for something, he always made sure that it was given to me. Like he wrote for me, and that's why I ain't gonna say loyal to him, but I always went to him first with anything when it came to contract wise. The worst is, for me, the worst is Aya.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm with you on that.
yeah, I'm with that because I hear that consistently. And even, I don't know if you, so allegedly, let me make sure I say allegedly. Allegedly, there was a nurse who was in Hawaii, and I don't know if you heard this story. So she was talking about her contract and had said nothing bad about the contract. She was outside. She was on her break. You couldn't see the hospital emblem on, and I don't think that she had on a badge, but basically she had made a statement, well, not a statement, but she was like on social media, like, oh, you guys should check out Aya, allegedly, and had said, oh, this is a great contract, and she got fired, allegedly. And it was interesting because allegedly the marketing team had reached out to her to try to use her video in a marketing like campaign. And she was like, I guess you guys don't talk, but you do know that I was fired, right? So it's really, really important too that you understand these social media policies. But some of these companies, allegedly, they just shady, and I've heard that a lot about them, and it's sad.
And that big script that they make you sign with Aya when you fill out for that job, read that.
Allegedly.
Yeah. A lot of times the companies, they'll have like in your contract where they uphold you to say there is a handbook, but of course their whole handbook is not included in your agreement. So you read the fine print and read it.
Especially now, because what I'm hearing too is that they will, in that big handbook, if they have a link to, sometimes they won't even include in your contract.
Yep.
They'll have information. They're like, oh, if you're not available this day, then you won't get all of your full stipends. So it's really, really important that you not only have conversations with the recruiters, because they might not know what's like in the contracts, and they might not kind of be in bed with legal, but it's really important that you have some agencies that you work with that have a lot of integrity, because a lot of them don't.
Exactly. And then, you know, I've even seen contracts where if you cancel, you pay money back. If you take off, you pay money back. And that will probably be in the contract, but people aren't really reading through the contract.
Yeah. So read your contracts. Read your contracts. Okay. So with this current market being how it is, where do you find lucrative jobs?
Internal contracts. Float pool. They're making great money, and hospitals are trying to float a little bit more money to their staff nurses right now anyway, because the system I work for, they have cut out external agencies, so it's all staff and intern.
Yeah. External agencies are a big, like, drop in the budget. So I understand why a lot of them like kind of do that. So in-house agencies, like especially with these huge institutions, I used to work for Hopkins. That was a really like a huge place that you could get.
And you can get benefits. They offer benefits.
Yeah.
That's the way I would do local agency. Honestly, if you know exactly where you want to go, look into a local agency to see if they offer like a travel or even something temporary, because they'll be able to pay you more.
Yeah.
And some of them do go by tiers, and you have to have experience. Please don't lie on your resume, because they literally check it and they can tell. Please don't lie.
The girls like to lie. The girls like to lie. Okay, so I know this is hard, but 2 pieces of advice that you would give to aspiring travel nurses. And I mean, this is anything. So I'm going to start with the Airbnb. I'm just going to give 1 tip. And this is the biggest tip I learned. Your first contract, do not use Airbnb. Even though you're going to make less money in your pocket. I had a horror story about how I let the agency place me in housing. Thank God I did, because I had a big issue with my housing. I was on the bottom floor of an apartment. The people above me, first of all, they weren't even, this apartment complex had like a size restriction, and it sounded like sometimes they were like dropping furniture. They had a pit bull, actually two pit bulls. So I worked night shift. It was impossible to sleep. But the moving expenses, the company footed, because I said, either I'm leaving and I'm done with this contract, or you move me, period. So that's the biggest piece of advice. Until you become a seasoned traveler, don't use Airbnb. Let them place you in housing. And the other part of that is, if you decide to do Airbnb, only do it for 1 week at a time, or a hotel for 1 week at a time, so you can get to the place, and at least initially, because you don't know what situation you're walking into. You could walk into like a CVIC where they try to triple you, and then you've already paid for 3 months of housing up front on Airbnb. And you know what the platform rules are when it comes to Airbnb and advanced purchase. Right, you're screwed. So I would say take it easy when it comes to housing, and take it slow.
I'm gonna say out of end goal, travel nursing is not something that you follow to make a career out of. But it is something definitely that you can make benefit you by making a little bit more money than you would work at staff.
Yeah.
I would definitely say strategize and have a plan. Do not let these agencies and recruiters take advantage of you. Know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. And learn how to negotiate your rate and your pay and what you want, because it'll help you not only in traveling, but when you try to pivot out into other areas too.
Yes. So tell everyone where to follow you, and how to connect with you, if you're open to that.
So I'm Reva, Nurse Reva, but at Reva Moments on Instagram and TikTok.
Hey, I'm Rachael, RCHLB, Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Bye.